Hello there, and welcome to a little bonus review that we wanted to do for Sally Rooney's new book because we're such big fans of Sally Rooney.
Woo!
Woo! Today we are drinking some Negronis, which Olivia picked because they're bitter, which perfectly describes our overall feeling. Oh yeah. So, this is Sally Rooney's book, Beautiful World, Where Are You? It is, in short, bit wank. It's too much all at once, and so it's nothing.
Yes.
It's 8 different topics handled 5 different ways.
Yeah. Yes, good way of putting it.
I didn't enjoy it. I really didn't enjoy it. I really wanted to enjoy it. I didn't really like Normal People at all. I found it pretentious and wanky and almost insulting. And I got this book thinking, she's probably better. It's not. It's worse, honestly.
It is worse, yeah.
I think it's worse in almost every way.
Yeah.
I've made a lot. I'm not sure if you can actually see how many times I've folded over. And they're all things I want to talk about and complain about. First of all, Olivia, any specific thoughts?
I don't think I hated it as much as you.
Yeah, she did.
I tried to go into it a bit more open-minded. And I probably did enjoy the first 100 pages, maybe. Quite liked the emails for the first bit. Only for the first bit. And then after that, it felt like a Sally Rooney book.
The email system,
which isn't a good thing.
For those who aren't aware, the premise of the text is essentially that it's 2 friends whom are distant from one another after one of them has had a mental breakdown and who is a Sally Rooney author insert, and they communicate through emails. But the weird, cool, kooky thing about this book is that you get weird you have interlocking chapters of weird third-person narrative where they're weirdly removed from the character's perspective. Then you get an email, which is meant to be a lot more of the character's personal point of view, but still posited around like it's still the version they show themselves in an email.
Yeah, it's trying to highlight, I think, how everyone is fake when you're not actually with them.
Yep.
Whether that be on Instagram or through emails, like you show what you want to show, and I think that's the point of those emails.
And it'd be a great concept and actually a really cool like thesis of a book that we all as a modern society do not speak to each other truly, and there is no truth, and there is no beautiful world, where are you? And I think that would have actually been really interesting if it wasn't for the fact that there is an absolute ton of pointless and weird sex. And she abandons the concept halfway through the book.
Yeah, that really annoyed me.
Doesn't make any sense.
The first couple of chapters where you really do
I'm
feel
so annoyed.
like you're at a distance. You don't know the details of what's going on. You don't know the emotions.
It's actually quite interesting.
That was good, but she kind of forgot about that halfway through.
Kind of randomly, she'll just kind of zoom in and then she'll be with the characters and do their perspectives. And it's like, oh, I thought we were having some kind of really interesting, unique take on like narrative fiction, but no, just abandoning it. And then the emails would like be different, and then also they just would stop. Like I felt like they started out at least somewhat like individuals, and then they just became the same person. Like you could not tell me because they often don't say their names in the emails, except for the latter chapters of the emails wherein they say the first name. And I feel like the reason for that is because the publisher said to Sally Rooney, "Look, I have no clue who this is. You need to let the reader know because they sound the same."
Yeah, I know. Even at the beginning, I had that problem. I would have to flip to the end of the email where it said who it was from, or flip back to the previous chapter to see who the email was going to be from.
It's literally they're just the same people. They're pretentious twats who went to Trinity and have sex.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. That's what Sally Rooney writes about. There's nothing. They just talk at each other. And and if that was the point, if the point was that they like. In each email there was only a kernel of true beauty and real discourse, and the rest of it was that kind of blumph that you add in emails. That'd be great. But no, it seems that she's actually, each of these characters thinks they're the most genius person in the world, writing about the true introspective qualities and the validity of beauty. And I'm just skimming it. It's just going past. It's just, oh, now I'm going to rant for 3 pages about what beauty in a picture is. Out of nowhere. And I just found that so frustrating. It's just a rant. I'm sorry, maybe that's my personal opinion, but I just found it so irritating to read.
I think it was trying to do too many things. It was trying to make the point of you're not really your true self in
Would have been
text.
great if that was the central thesis.
It was then trying to make too many kind of, well, I don't know what the word for it is, but it's like make a point about modern society and make a point about the way we are, which I think was those bits where it was like it's talking about art, or it was talking about like lost languages and those things. And then it was also trying to use the emails to be like, and here's how the characters feel, because I don't want to insert that in the other chapters because that's supposed to be very like distant.
It was muddled. Everything was so muddled. There was no central thesis to it. And if the central thesis was an interesting take on narrative fiction, that could have been cool. But it was just abandoned. And that's what frustrates me. It really just became a soppy romance between a bunch of people who don't like each other.
See, I don't think it was completely abandoned. I think you did get it at the end with the fact that if you just read their emails, you'd think they're actually quite close. They share everything. They share details about their life. They also share details about their thoughts and quite philosophical thoughts that they might not share with other people. But then put them in the same room and they don't get on. And I think that carries through to
wanky,
the end.
Though. They have the exact same thoughts about things. I'm going to harp on about this, but they have. I know I've said this to you quite a lot, but they have this whole section about the late Bronze Age collapse. Sally Rooney read a Wikipedia article about the late Bronze Age collapse and just went on and on. I counted 12 pages solid about this through 4 different emails.
I think I read that. Oh, there was one email where they spoke about it quite a lot, and I think I read it quite late at night, and I was tired.
So many pages about the late Bronze Age collapse, with no link and relevance. And I think the ostensible point was that it was meant to be implying that our society is crumbling because but everyone isn't a liberal lefty Marxist like me. And by the way, I am a liberal lefty Marxist. And even I find Sally Rooney's opinion on this crap bloody annoying. She just doesn't stop. We get it. You like left-wing politics. I agree. But also, one of the main characters is a millionaire who just kind of watches her friend live in impoverishment and just kind of vaguely ignore it.
But I think that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot.
Then at the end, they're like really good friends.
But they're not. This is
I know. They need men to save them.
It goes back. It's like, I can't believe it's been 18 months since you were here. It's implying like they're not.
No, it's implied. No, she said that they visited them again 6 months later.
Oh, okay.
12 months since you were last here, 18 months since that time you just read.
I don't know. I think a lot of it is supposed to be that concept of you could be messaging somebody every single day.
Which is cool, I get that.
But they're not really, they might be your friend, but they are not really part of your life. They don't know you and you don't know them. It's all surface level.
Which would have been really interesting. I
think that's the whole point.
Would have been great if that was what the book was about, because, oh no, actually they're the best friends ever and they're soulmates, and actually at the end they're still best friends, but also they need men and they need penis. That's my biggest problem with this. And I feel like you don't mind it as much.
I do mind it, but I think I read more than you. I also read more genres that have that kind of theme of needing men. Like, you'll read a lot more sci-fi and a lot more fantasy, whereas I will read a lot more contemporary stuff. And it just seems to be a thing that you cannot write a contemporary book without there being some kind of romantic issue.
The romantic felt like much more of the point. Then I get what you're saying. Like that,
it's not a good thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I wish that you could pick up books that are just about people without there being a romance. Not everyone's life has a constant romance storyline.
And I'll acknowledge, though, that romance is a central tenet of humanity, and indeed, hell, we're married. But a romance exists, and romance is good.
Yeah, it's the same with music. It's a lot of music is about.
Because these are the things
romance
that inspire
and love, and I get that. It would just be nice if you could have books that are about. A book ultimately only focuses in on certain parts of a person's life. You don't see everything that they're doing in a 24-hour period. Therefore, you could leave out the romance elements and still have a really good story.
Indeed.
But probably going off the point.
No, we're not. We're on the point, because that's my main bugbear. Is that if this book was about an actual romance, not romance, but a platonic romance between two friends who drift apart and come back together again, that would have been great. I would have loved that. And it would have flown in the face of common expectation. Yeah. Because let's be honest, I did go into this with the expectation it was going to be a Sally Rooney novel. I'm a death of the author believer, but I'm not a practitioner, I suppose. But instead of that, even though there's bits of it in the emails, and those are the bits I like. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm getting a bit of a feel for it. But instead, it feels like 80% of the book is taken up by these absolutely boring men and their amazing penises. That's all they are. Describe to me right now, Felix. 3 physical characteristics.
He's horrible.
Physical characteristics, go.
Oh, we learned he had dark hair, right?
I told her that after reading it today.
Didn't you say he was quite small in comparison to Simon?
Name his last name.
He has a last name?
One thing he likes.
His dog.
Easy answer, but yes. They literally humanise him because he has a dog. The men in this book are terrible. They are utterly pointless and vapid, and their only job is to give orgasms to the women.
No, they're not pointless and vapid. Simon's pointless and vapid.
Felix is also pointless and vapid.
Felix... This is the problem. Simon didn't feel like a fleshed out character.
No.
Simon had no personality other than the fact that he was religious, but even that didn't really contribute too much to who he was.
Felix exists to be a dick.
Felix did feel like a real person. Felix was a complete arsehole.
Yeah, fair enough. Sorry.
He doesn't have much to him because his life is work,
in a
going
warehouse.
to the pub, getting severely drunk and socialising.
On the lash, and then going on Tinder.
But there's a lot of people who that is them. That is a realistic
it's just like
person.
basic bitches,
Right.
yeah.
Whether I like that person or not, it's neither here nor there. Simon wasn't a person. Simon was just a name,
wet dishcloth
basically.
that, and like not really a wet, not even that wet, like that it was heavy. Like you pick it up and it's like kind of damp and you think, oh, where's this been? That's what Simon was.
No, he wasn't there. He's the kind of person, if we go by what we learn about him in the book, you could be in a room with him and you'd forget that he's there. He sits in the corner silent.
I have other than I know that he likes Jesus and practices Catholicism, except doesn't practice many of its core tenets and instead is just kind of like Jesus is a nice chill guy kind of Catholic, which is probably my favourite type of Catholic if you have to be a Catholic. But let's be honest, it's not a real Catholic.
No, I feel like
it's not honest.
He was
Catholic.
only religious because they wanted to bring up the religious elements with Alice and
make it not sound a bit awkward.
Eileen, that's it. And they needed somebody who would take one of them to church and bring up the topics of religion.
Indeed,
otherwise he wouldn't have even
It's
been
completely
religious.
irrelevant, yeah.
Yeah.
And he basically just exists to have Eileen love him. And it appears that it's like some great romance. Multiple separate instances within the text, they get together, have weirdly kinky BDSM sex.
Well, he's in a relationship with
two different... No, same person.
Is it always the same person?
Yes, but they're in an open relationship, so they don't matter. It doesn't matter. Who cares? No one cares about that. Move on. Literally, it's just forgotten immediately.
Right.
Yeah. He goes, oh yeah, I broke up with her. And that's it. Never even get to see it.
Yeah, she's not... well, we're not really focusing on him, I suppose.
No,
so
indeed,
we don't
but
need to learn
still.
about those things, but yeah.
Well, we kind of are, though. We focused a lot more on Felix. We do actually have a chapter where we talk a little bit about Simon, and it's just him being a bit bored in the office. And being a bit sad. Not really why, he's just a bit sad.
I don't remember that.
Exactly. Okay? There are multiple instances where they have weirdly kinky... So, like, it's not the fact that it's strange that it's kinky and BDSM-y. It's that it comes out of nowhere, and it's completely in the face of the tone of the text. And it's like, oh, this is like weirdly like... how do you describe it? Like...
Well, there were too many... Oh, like 50 Shades of Grey.
Like, very 50 Shades of Grey, like someone who'd read 50 Shades of Grey would describe sex.
It's like she wrote the first 100 pages, and then she decided, wait... I need to add a different tone to this.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to
adult.
keep inserting these completely, almost unnecessary, awkward sex scenes.
Yeah.
That then attract a 50 Shades of Grey
Yes.
reader, as well as my normal readers.
Yes.
Like, that's kind of how
I saw a great Reddit comment on while trying to look up opinions about this book, and one person just said, very simply, Sally Rooney's women orgasm too easily. I am very envious. It's literally just like, bam. They're like, I am done. I know that there's a couple times where it's like, and then later. And that's like, okay, cool, because you don't want to write the literal specifics of the thrusting.
Oh, I felt like she wanted to.
But she wanted
was
to.
reined
There were
in.
multiple times where like they come within genuinely seconds, and it's just like, well, going on. Actually, I think he does actually say, well, because he's Irish.
Yes, too many.
Simon,
Like, the
there's
scenes
too
were
much.
just too
It's too much.
Sorry.
But yes, agree. It's uncomfortable,
They were
and that makes us
unnecessary.
sound prudish.
No.
You talked about this,
They were very-
but it doesn't. It just feels weird.
No, the first one served a purpose.
Agreed. Yeah.
To let us know what was going on with those
Sex
characters.
is a thing that happens in relationships and is great and is part of text and part of passion. But it's just like, it's another... I literally at one point reading it on the table with you, I went, another sex scene. How long is this one? It's 4 pages.
They were all quite samey as well. They all
were
kind of
basically the
blended
same.
into one, which made the other... Like, by the fourth one, I was like, yeah, can I just skim over this? This is pointless reading this.
And they're all, like, kind of older as well. Okay, I'll come back to that. But yes, multiple times... This will be fun to edit. Multiple instances within this, they have kinky BDSM sex, say they love each other, have really get on, and then quite literally the moment it's over, they say, we shouldn't be together, we should go back to being friends. One of them will say, we shouldn't be together. And the other one will go, okay, if that's what you think. And then the other one will leave, and then that person will be all sad, and then weeks or months will pass, and then they'll do it again. And I know this is meant to be like a kind of will they, won't they, like, this is their great love, and they can't seem to make it work. But it's the standard rom-com problem of they just refuse to communicate.
But it's not a great love, is it?
And he's a predator.
Oh, what, Felix?
No, Simon.
Yeah,
he's a predator. It's
but
creepy.
this is the one
He's
we've
much
got.
older. He's 10 years older. And he kissed her first time when she was 15.
Oh yeah, so he'd have been 25.
Oh wait, no, he's 5 years older.
Is it 5
He's 5
years?
years older. But that is weird from 20 to 15.
Yes, yeah, that is not that's very different from 30 to 35.
28 and 23 to 18 is a little weird too.
See, I wouldn't say that is as
It's not as weird, no.
My
but
problem with it is
half
that
plus 7.
if you get a 30-year-old that meets a 35-year-old, that's fine. You're kind of roughly at the same stage in life. But when you get a 10-year-old that meets a 15-year-old, they are nowhere, like, they're not in the same stage of life. And when the younger one is then 15 and the other one is then 20 and is basically an adult.
Yeah.
And so
it's
he
weird.
remembers
it's really
her
strange.
as this like tiny
and he
little
idolises
child.
her and says, "I've always loved you, like ever since
That's
you were younger."
really
And it's
creepy.
really weird. But then they bring it into the sex, and he takes on like the daddy kink role.
She even says it, doesn't she?
She calls him daddy unironically, and I'm just like,
wrong.
no, but legitimately, yes, he was been that role to you. That's weird. And they're talking about it like it's a good thing. Like, I just want to look after you and take care of you and be like a father figure to you. And she goes, "Oh, that's nice." I'm like, bitch, no, that is therapy.
I mean, the problem. I guess the problem with that is that that is a whole different topic.
That's a whole other thing.
If she wanted to be writing a book about this kind of relationship, that's absolutely
that would have been
fine
interesting.
But she's trying to do that on
She's
top
trying to
of
do too
all
much,
these
like what you
other
said. Yeah,
things.
that's the main thing. It
didn't work.
Oh, we should just put this at the beginning of the video. It's too much all at once, and so it's nothing.
Yes.
It's 8 different topics handled 5 different ways.
Yeah.
But the bit that I know Olivia really wants to discuss is the relationship between the Sally Rooney insert, Alice, who's a millionaire author who had a mental breakdown, and Felix.
Oh, you mean
Tell me their great
the
relationship.
abusive Felix?
Human. They met on a date, and they didn't get on.
Yeah, they don't get on at all.
They don't get
It's
on
a
at
really
all.
bad
They're
date.
actually mean to each other, and then like they see each other again, and they're just like, "Oh, want to come around the party? Want to come around my party?" It's like, cool. And now I love you, and she just loves him violently.
He's abusive
and
to
he's just
her.
like, "I don't like you." He literally says at one point,
he's like verbally.
he's
really
verbally abusive to her, like really horrible. At one section, he literally just they bang, and she says, "I love you." And I guess now, having read it, it's actually meant to be an emotionally crippled, damaged person who it turns out, "Oh, I'm grieving for my dead mum a year ago," which was really weak. Oh, that's why you're a dick.
No, that's not
it
a
doesn't
reason
excuse
to act the way he acts.
No. And it turns out that actually this is obviously his reaction to being told "I love you," that stereotypical way that someone isn't capable of handling love from someone else. But it doesn't come across as that. It literally just spends 2 paragraphs destroying her.
He's really nasty.
Like,
to her.
I read it, I was like, man, this is well written in terms of horror. Like, it's just mean. And she's like, "You must hate me," and she just shuts down. And then he just lies down, and she's like, "Oh, we can stay together. All right, cool." And that's it. And it's just gone. And then later on he's like, "Oh yeah, I do love you."
That scene really upset me. I was
It's
like,
upset me too.
That is the point where you cut that person off.
You just
and
go, "Whoa,
li-
you're a bastard."
Yeah, they're not that close to each other. They
No.
haven't known each other that long. There's no like ties.
She literally
keeping
just
them
decides
together.
this random Irish person is her soulmate and I will be with him forever. And
There's
he has
nothing.
nothing
He
in common.
refuses to read her books.
He refuses to read her books.
Even read,
and there's a
doesn't
whole
he?
section about that at the end where she lambasts people on Twitter saying that she deserves to be with someone who reads her books because in an interview she mentioned, what does your partner think of these? "Oh, he hasn't read my books." And they focus on that. Yeah, I do think that your partner should at least have an understanding of what you do as your core person. She's an author who writes books as in her life. And he literally refuses to read them.
But he just doesn't
he's
read at all.
He's,
It's not even her
he's
books.
illiterate.
He's just-
They have nothing in common.
No.
They have no conversations other than him kind of blandly, uneducatedly. And I'm not saying that in a sense that everyone has to have an education to be a worthy person, but there is a difference in education and viewpoint between these characters. Between a highly
They
educated...
wouldn't get on.
They just wouldn't. They'd have
just
nothing
don't
to
think
say.
they'd
And they
get
do
on.
have nothing to
He'd
say.
be called a gold digger, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because by the
and
end
then
of the
he's
book,
a kept
he's
man.
living with her.
He's a kept man, yeah.
Like, other people from the outside be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Horrible to you. You have nothing in common." He's
And he
living
has
off of your
multiple
money.
debts.
Like,
He's got tons of debts
Yeah.
around town.
he's
And it's implied
got
he's
a bad
going to...
reputation apparently around town as well.
Yeah.
Isn't he? It's like, don't listen to what other people say about me.
Everyone's
you know.
going to say that I'm trying to take money from you. And then he just does. And then, that's just a great romance. And
No.
we're meant to walk away. I mean, I think if they... I mean, they are probably going to make this into a fucking film, almost
course
certainly.
they are.
The moment when he goes, "Oh, I do love you," it's going to be like some grand crescendo music playing moment. And it falls completely flat in the text. And I know there's going to be a lot of people... And this has actually had very good reviews. So I think we're just bloody idiots.
Well, we didn't like,
like
the Cerulean Sea, and everyone loved that.
I hate House on the Cerulean Sea.
Didn't even finish
It
Cerulean
is
Sea.
awful.
It
is the most vapid. No, that's a different thing.
I'm just saying. It's just...
hated that. DNF'd
Oh, we
it.
should reread that.
I will. It's on my list actually. But the problem with this text is it does. I like that 8 things, trying to do 8 things in 5 different ways, and the men are not only uninteresting, vapid, and frankly insulting as to a man. I find them quite insulting, but they're horrible. And Simon is horrible in how emotionally unavailable he is. Like, you'd think he'd recently been lobotomized in an accident, and genuinely, like, there was at multiple points he just kind of. He's not in like a conversation, and then when his name pops up again, I'm like, oh yeah, Simon's in this chapter.
He's not there. I think you would if you knew him in real life as like a real person, you would describe him as that person that you would like. Oh, was he at the party on Saturday night?
These people
I
just
didn't
wouldn't
know
get
that.
on. None of
Like,
these people would get
he's
on.
got no presence.
None of these people would be together, and they wouldn't be having all this fantastic sex all the time and talking about the late Bronze Age collapse. None of these people would get on, and it's just frustrating that an author has just kind of gone. Kiss, and that's the book.
Smashed them together and hope for the best.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the text, and I found it actually really insulting. And one thing I found it weird that you didn't say you agreed with necessarily, but I find it quite hurtful to women. The women are shit.
I think the problem I have with
She's a woman as well, the author.
Is shit. And it is portraying this image of women that I don't think should be portrayed. That they're doormats and they're so desperate for a man that
they
they'll
need
take
a
them.
man.
But the problem I have, and I think this is the core of what Sally Rooney is, she's trying to appeal to the masses. She's trying to appeal to the average person, and the problem is, without sounding like insulting to society, there are a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
She's not portraying an unrealistic character. There are a lot of women that probably relate to her characters.
Which
and
that
while
really
we can't relate to
distresses
that,
me.
we
don't. We're not the core audience.
So it does annoy me. I do think that she should be
that.
portraying better females that have the ability to stand up.
That'd be
to
nice, wouldn't it? Yeah.
But her brand is basically appeal to the average. And the average, like, I'm not saying that every average person takes this level of abuse, but they are realistic
a little bit more
problems
susceptible to it,
that a lot of people would be like, yeah, I've had a relationship like that.
These are the things that I write when I mainly read at the breakfast table, so these are the things that I think about and write down.
Okay.
So pseudo-intellectual is this kind of facile horse shit that TikTok represents. Surface level intellectualism with no depth. And a long section about the Bronze Age collapse. My main thing I want to take away from this book is that you shouldn't watch it, this review. You shouldn't listen to us and you should ignore us, because this book is not for us. We are the wrong people to read this. We do not sympathise with these wankers and their dumb self-effacing drama and their relationship problems. We're in a different stage of our life. It is not for us.
That's what's so annoying, because we haven't read Conversations with Friends.
No, we haven't.
But Conversations with Friends with normal people are supposed to be about people who are kind of, 18 to maybe 25 at a push. They're supposed to be in that stage of their life, and you're supposed to relate to those books if you're in that stage of your life. So we read Normal People last year.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we don't relate to this. Well, that's okay, because we're not the people that are supposed to relate to that. But this book is being somewhat marketed as the 27 to maybe 35 as an upper limit. Those people are supposed to relate to
That's
this.
us.
You're supposed to be in that stage of your life.
But no, they act like they're 18.
But I was hoping that we would read it and be like, I can relate to this and I can relate to that. But that's not the case. We are right in the middle of the target audience, and we still do not relate to it.
We hate this. It's the reason, I think, though, is because she's not writing 28-year-olds and 35-year-olds. She's writing 19-year-olds because those are her audience. She's writing 19-year-olds with the age changed and with different levels of success and economic class for the purpose of creating her characters. They don't actually act like adults or people. I'm not saying adults need to act like a certain way. God knows we don't. But they are very childish and ridiculous. Imagine every stupid sitcom trope of a romance or a rom-com movie that did 42% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Miz, what I want to agree with you...
People love that shit.
I'm not going to name any names, but I can think of people who I've known in my life who are basically characters in this book when it comes to maturity and relationships and the way they
depressing.
deal with those relationships and the things that's, you know, this kind of on off, will they, won't they kind of drama.
My face.
So I think that there are people our age that probably relate to this book and are the characters in this book.
Well, then if I
We're
were...
just not very normal people.
Oh! Video ends! Boom! I didn't really enjoy this. I enjoyed the experience of being angry at it, though, which, to be honest, is not a good thing.
I enjoyed watching you be angry reading it. It was quite
yeah,
fun.
I was very angry
Yeah.
reading this.
We haven't even spoken about the worst bit of the book, though, I think. The ending. The
Oh
ending
my god,
really
the ending!
annoyed me.
They've clearly
changed
changed
it.
it. She clearly sent the book to print. They had spent a year, 6 months, a year going through things, and then the pandemic happened, and then they went, oh my god, make it relevant to the pandemic. And they sent it back to her, and she just changed like 9 things around in the last chapter or so
Yeah.
to make it relevant to the pandemic. And that's just annoying, which really annoys me.
Yeah, I don't
But-
like the fact that before you like
Yeah, go on.
the entire book takes place over, I think, roughly 6 months.
Yeah.
Then we fast forward 18 months so that we're now in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And the last bit of the book can talk about the pandemic. That just doesn't keep with the tone. If
No,
the
it's
book
just
had
completely-
like traversed that
It's
amount of
literally like a
time
movie,
already, but-
oh, everything's fine now. Yeah.
It's clearly added on. Don't do that. We've already got enough books out there that have been written really quickly because they're about the pandemic or they're about lockdown and
Yeah.
they want to make money off of that. You've already got a book. Don't rewrite the ending so that you can appeal to my book takes place in a pandemic.
It just pisses me off.
Like, I just don't like that. It really annoys me. It's probably the worst thing about the book for me, the fact that the end. I feel like the ending has got to have been rewritten.
It clearly was.
It's just-
The biggest, most annoying facet for me, though, is the ending of Eileen. Her character ending. Spoiler alert! Oh no, I'm pregnant! Even though I got taken off my birth control. Is it implied that she trapped him? I don't know. But oh, I'm pregnant and I'm so excited. I'm just a mother now. That's all I've wanted to be. And it's like, oh, cool. You're another one of those people.
I guess because they have multiple conversations in their emails, don't they, throughout the book about this kind of stuff. Do they want children? Do they
Yes,
not?
and
There's
she
even one line
she
where
says
it's like,
no.
I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel this.
Yeah, I know,
And
but
so
it's just such a
yeah.
stereotypical, oh, and now I'm pregnant,
Yeah.
and that's my life.
Well, that's because they needed to, again, appeal to the masses.
It's just
And
frustrating.
that's what it's doing. It's coming up with this conclusion that the average person wants to see as the conclusion to that story.
Well, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
It pisses me
It didn't
off.
be. It didn't piss me off because it didn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Whereas suddenly being in the pandemic at the ending,
Oh, yeah.
surprise. Well, I knew it was coming because I'd seen it in
Yeah,
another
see, I
review.
hadn't.
But anyway, like in terms of the book, it surprised me, so it annoyed me. Whereas that didn't surprise me. I was just like, well, yeah, of course, your character has nothing to her.
Yeah.
Sally Rooney doesn't know what to do with you.
Make her
so,
pregnant.
yeah, like.
This book just wore me out. I think that's the thing. It just tired me. I'm just tired. I'm just worn out. I'm tired. And I'm just pissed off.
So conversations with friends next.
Conversations with friends next. I think like a 3 out of 10 for me.
I did kind of enjoy the first 50 to 100 pages, and then it completely lost me. So probably a bit higher than you. So I guess like 4 or 5. I would never read it again.
I'm going to give it a low 4,
All right, then I'll give it a high 4.
which is really more of a 7 out of 20. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 20.
God, why don't you straight out of 100? Be done with it.
Never!
I wouldn't ever read it again.
Oh god, no. This is going to the back of my shelf.
But that's the mark of a bad book. If a book is good, I'm going to want to read it again
Yeah.
at some point in my life.
Kinda
This
sucked.
is just like.
Conversations with friends. Not conversations with friends. Beautiful world, where are you? You're not here. It's a thumbnail.